Hey everyone, welcome to a deep dive exploring how generative AI is changing the world of academic writing.
It's a really hot topic, and with good reason.
We've got two great sources to dig into today. Academic Writing Mastery gives us a framework for really nailing those research papers.
And teaching with GAI in mind, from EDUCAUSE Review, helps us think through the ethical side of AI in education, like how we teach and assess learning.
It's all about staying ahead of the curve, right? So let's jump in. Academic Writing Mastery really stresses the importance of storytelling. They call it crafting compelling narratives.
Instead of just, presenting a bunch of dry data.
Right. Have you ever felt like your research papers were, well, a bit on the boring side?
It happens to the best of us. But that's where this power framework they talk about comes in. Purpose, organization, writing, evidence, and relevance. It's like a blueprint for making your work engaging and impactful.
I like that. So are you saying that just getting the facts right isn't enough anymore?
Exactly. It's the human touch, the narrative, that really makes a paper stand out. Especially with AI getting better at generating text, the way we tell the story is what will set us apart.
That makes a lot of sense. Speaking of AI writing, the EDUCAUSE article brought up some really interesting stuff about AI detection technology, like Turnitin.
Yeah, Turnitin's capabilities are pretty impressive. But we can't forget, human judgment is still key.
You mean we shouldn't just rely on algorithms to catch plagiarism?
Exactly. Technology is a tool. It can help, but ultimately it's educators who need to decide what's going on.
That brings up a huge question, though. What is plagiarism when AI can generate text so easily? Like, if a student uses AI to help with their writing, is that cheating?
It's tricky, and every school is going to have to figure out where they stand. We might even need a whole new definition of plagiarism.
Yeah, and then there's the issue of how we actually assess a student's understanding if AI is potentially doing some of the work for them.
Right. We might need to get creative with assessments, more oral exams, more projects, maybe even debates, where students have to think on their feet.
It's like we have to raise the bar, find ways to challenge their thinking that go beyond just writing.
Absolutely. And it's exciting. It forces us to rethink what it means to truly learn and understand something.
I like that perspective.
Yeah.
But okay, while we're on the topic of AI's impact, the EDUCAUSE article also talked about how AI could actually help the open science movement.
Yeah. That's a really cool idea. It could be a game changer. Open science is all about transparency and collaboration in research, making sure everyone has access to data and methods.
I remember Academic Writing Mastery talked about that too, with their SHARE framework, sharing, honesty, accessibility, reproducibility, and engaged community.
Exactly. And AI could be really helpful with that, especially with analyzing data efficiently and making sure research is reproducible. AI could make it easier for researchers to, share their work, be upfront about any limitations, and basically make their research more accessible.
So instead of fearing AI, we could actually use it to make research more transparent.
That's the hope. But of course, we still have to be cautious about potential bias and algorithms and stuff like that. We always need that human oversight.
Definitely. Can't just let the robots run wild. But that brings us to another big theme in academic writing mastery collaboration.
Yes. The joys and pains of teamwork.
They pointed out that multi-author papers tend to get cited more, which is great.
But also that teams can waste a lot of time with revisions if they're not working together effectively.
It's a balancing act for sure. But wait, could AI potentially help with that too? Streamlining the collaborative writing process.
It's already starting to happen. Think of tools like Grammarly. They help teams communicate better and give feedback on each other's work.
Right. And maybe AI could even, help mediate conflicts between team members.
Now, that's interesting. There are definitely AI tools in development that can analyze communication styles and suggest ways to, de-escalate things, avoid those heated email exchanges.
I can see it now. AI playing therapist for academics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but looking ahead, as AI keeps getting smarter, what skills do you think will be absolutely essential for writers in academia?
I think it's less about being a perfect technical writer and more about those higher level skills. Critical thinking, being able to synthesize information from different sources, and that ability to present a compelling story. Those are things AI can't do, at least not yet.
It's almost like we need to become the conductors of the AI orchestra, right?
Right.
Knowing which tools to use and how to bring it all together.
That's a great analogy. We're not being replaced, we're being elevated.
I like that.
Yeah.
So if AI can write perfectly, what will define brilliance in academic work?
The human element, of course. The ability to ask the right questions, make connections that AI misses, and offer those truly original insights.
It's not just what we write, it's how we think.
Exactly, and that's something worth thinking about. How do we adapt our writing and our thinking in this new landscape?
That's something we can all explore. What do you think? How do you see your own writing practices evolving?
It's a fascinating journey, and we're all in it together.
So we're talking about how to stand out in the age of AI. And I know one thing that always helps is a strong opening. Academic writing mastery, call it the hook, right? That thing that grabs your attention from the start.
It's so true, and that principle applies everywhere. It doesn't matter if you're writing a research paper or a blog post or even just an email.
Yeah, you've got to make people care about what you have to say, right? But with AI getting so good at writing, I wonder what happens to the editor? Will editors even be necessary anymore?
I think the role of the editor will definitely change. It'll be less about fixing commas and more about shaping the whole story, making sure the AI-generated content really connects with the audience.
Kind of like a narrative architect.
Exactly. But even with the best hook and the best editor, you still need a strong argument.
Right. AI can help us write beautifully, but it can't think for us. And academic writing mastery really emphasized how important that is.
Critical thinking is key. Being able to analyze the evidence, pull together information from different sources, and then present it in a way that supports your thesis. That's where the human element comes in.
So AI can help with the gathering and organizing, but it's up to us to make those connections.
Right. And it all starts with having a clear research question. Without that, your whole paper will lack focus.
So you need a good research question, a solid argument, and then you have to present it in a way that people want to read.
Oh.
And there's one more thing that both our sources talked about, relevance. Why does this research matter?
Absolutely. In a world with so much information, your work has to stand out. It has to contribute to the field and maybe even have an impact on real-world decisions.
Otherwise, what's the point?
Exactly. Nobody reads your work, nobody understands it. It just sits there gathering dust. That's where open science can really help.
Right. Making research more accessible and transparent. Do you think AI could actually help with that?
I do. It could speed up the writing process, help with data analysis, and even make it easier to collaborate with people all over the world.
Wow, imagine that. Researchers from everywhere working together, sharing their knowledge. That's incredible.
It could break down barriers and make scientific knowledge accessible to everyone.
That's a pretty amazing vision of the future. But of course, we have to be responsible with this technology. We can't just let AI run wild, right?
Of course not. We have to be aware of bias and algorithms and make sure human judgment is still guiding everything.
We also need to think about academic integrity. How do we use AI ethically in education?
There are a lot of questions to consider. But this is a really exciting time. GAI has the potential to transform research and learning in so many positive ways.
I'm feeling optimistic too. What do you think, listeners? How do you see your own work evolving in this new landscape? What skills do you think will be most important? All right, we're back and ready to wrap up this deep dive. We've talked about a lot, from storytelling to open science, but I think the big question hanging over everything is, if AI can write flawlessly, what does human brilliance even look like in academia?
Yeah, it really makes you think. I think it comes down to those things that AI, at least right now, just can't do. Critical thinking, seeing those connections between ideas that nobody else has noticed, and coming up with original insights.
It's like a computer can solve a math problem really fast, but it's the mathematician who comes up with the problem in the first place, you know?
Exactly. And that makes me think about how we prepare students for this new world. Rote memorization just isn't going to cut it anymore.
So what should we be focusing on instead? If AI can handle the technical stuff, what skills do students really need?
We need to be teaching them to think for themselves, how to solve problems, how to be creative, and how to figure out what information is actually reliable.
So it's not about feeding them facts. It's about teaching them how to learn.
Exactly. And how to evaluate what they're learning. That's going to be crucial.
You know, it's funny. It almost sounds like AI could make research more human.
How so?
Well, if AI can take care of those tedious tasks, like data analysis and reviewing tons of papers,
Oh, I see what you mean. It would free up researchers to focus on the big picture stuff.
the creative stuff, the
Yeah.
stuff that requires real insight, that could lead to some amazing discoveries.
I think you're right. It could change the whole landscape of research. More collaboration, more groundbreaking ideas. It's exciting to think about.
Definitely. But we can't just sit back and expect AI to do everything for us. we still need to be mindful of the ethical implications, right?
Absolutely. We need to be aware of bias. We need to make sure human judgment is still involved, and we need to figure out how to use AI responsibly in education.
It's a lot to think about. But I think the key takeaway here is that the rise of GAI isn't a threat. It's a chance to redefine what it means to be a brilliant academic.
I agree. It's a challenge, but it's also an incredible opportunity. We get to reshape the future of research and learning.
And who knows what amazing things we'll discover along the way. That's what makes this so exciting. And that's a wrap on this deep dive into the world of academic writing and GAI. We hope you've enjoyed this exploration as much as we have, and that you'll continue to think about these ideas as we all move forward in this incredible new era.